All right, let's get straight into the heat of the battle, because what we are seeing on the morning tape today, February 26, 2026, is a total systemic failure that the mainstream media is desperate to keep off your radar. John A.G. has been tracking the paper-to-physical disconnect for over a decade, and I am telling you right now, the bridge has officially collapsed. The New York Open today didn't just bring volatility, it brought a realization that the largest financial institutions on the planet are functionally short of metal they cannot source. While the screens in the West are flickering with maintenance warnings and digital clearing delays, the physical reality is that the vaults are being hollowed out at a rate of 3 million ounces per session. This is no longer a squeeze, it is a full-scale evacuation of value from a dying paper system into a physical reality that cannot be manipulated by an algorithm. The data hitting the terminal right now regarding the COMEX Registered inventory is the most alarming set of numbers I have ever analyzed in my career. We have officially crashed through the 90 million ounce floor, with the latest reports putting deliverable metal at just above 87 million ounces. To put that into perspective for you, the open interest for the upcoming March delivery month is currently standing at 188 million ounces. This is a mathematical death sentence. John A.G. is looking at the delivery notices as they are being filed this morning, and the longs are refusing to roll over. They don't want the cash settle. They don't want the exchange for physical credit. They want the 1,000-ounce bars delivered to their sub-custodians. The banks are cornered, and for the first time since the Hunt Brothers era, the shorts have no exit. Look at the divergence in the global premiums as the Eastern markets react to the Western carnage. The Shanghai Gold Exchange has just reported a domestic silver price of $102 equivalent per ounce, while the London spot price is struggling to stay above $90. This is a $12 arbitrage gap that is effectively acting as a giant vacuum cleaner. John A.G. has been warning for months that the west-to-east drain would accelerate until the COMEX hit zero. Today we are watching that vacuum turn into a jet engine. Every primary refinery in Europe and Mexico is now bypassing the Western exchanges and shipping directly to China because the premium is simply too large to ignore. The West is losing its strategic metal reserves in real time, and they are doing it to protect a paper price that no longer reflects the cost of production. The Wednesday blackout that began yesterday has escalated into a full-scale digital crisis within the major clearing banks. We have confirmed reports that two of the largest bullion dealing banks in New York had to manualize their settlement processes this morning due to technical difficulties. John A.G. knows better than to believe in coincidences. When the leverage in the silver market hits 200 to 1 and the physical metal disappears, the only way to prevent a vertical price moonshot is to turn off the machines. They are trapping the retail public in a no-trade zone while the big players shuffle the collateral behind closed doors. This is a controlled demolition of the old currency system. They want to freeze your liquidity so they can reorganize the deck chairs on the Titanic before it hits the physical silver iceberg. Let's talk about the industrial panic that is currently breaking the supply chain for the green energy revolution. John A.G. has primary sources reporting that a Tier 1 solar manufacturer in Germany has filed for force majeure this morning because they cannot fulfill their module contracts due to a lack of silver paste. They are offering $150 an ounce for physical grain in the private market, yet the COMEX ticker says the price is $92. Which price is real? The price on the screen that allows no delivery, or the price on the street that keeps the factories running? The industrial world has realized that silver is the indispensable metal of 2026, and they are now competing directly with the monetary buyers for every single gram. If you are a manufacturer who needs silver to exist, you don't care about the paper price. You care about the physical availability, and that availability is gone. The Mexico mining risk that John A.G. has been tracking has just hit a breaking point. Production at 3 major primary silver mines has been halted due to security concerns and labor disputes that are being fueled by the currency collapse. Mexico is the world's leading producer, and if their supply chain is stuttering, the global 67 million ounce deficit becomes unfixable. The miners know they have the ultimate leverage. They are refusing to dig silver out of the ground for a currency that is being printed into oblivion at a rate of $1 trillion every 100 days. They want physical value for physical labor. We are entering a supply strike phase where the metal simply stays in the ground until the paper market crashes and a new, physical-backed price discovery model emerges. The $35 trillion debt wall is no longer a distant mountain. It is a collapsing glacier that is falling directly onto the banking system today. The interest payments on the U.S. national debt have just surpassed the military budget for the first time in human history. This is the definition of systemic insolvency. The Federal Reserve is trapped in a mathematical black hole. If they cut rates to save the banks, the dollar vanishes in a hyperinflationary fire. If they keep rates high, the interest payments consume the entire tax revenue. John A.G. sees the choice they've made. They will protect the institution by bailing in the public's deposits. The legislative framework is already in place. If your wealth is digital, it is a liability for a failing bank. If your wealth is physical silver, it is an asset in your own hand. Look at the gold to silver ratio as we head into the afternoon session. It is currently undergoing the most violent compression in history. While gold is holding its own as a premier monetary reserve, silver is exploding as the strategic industrial asset. John A.G. has shown you the charts where silver historically outperforms gold 5-1 during a systemic reset. We are seeing the ratio drop from 85-1 towards 60-1 in a matter of days. If this ratio reverts to its historical mean of 15-1, you are looking at silver prices that the human mind can barely comprehend. The rubber band has been stretched for 50 years by bank manipulation, and it is now snapping back with the force of a freight train. The value gap is closing, and it is closing with a violence that will shock the financial world. Every emergency update I provide is based on the tape, and the tape today is telling us that the plumbing of the financial system is clogged. We are seeing fails to deliver, FTDs, hitting record highs in the silver-backed equities and ETFs. This means that even the people buying paper silver aren't getting their shares delivered on time. The counterparty risk is at an all-time high. John A.G. is telling you that the bail-in isn't just for cash, it's for anything digital. If the cyber polygon narrative plays out and the internet flickers, who has the records? This is why I emphasize the physical metal. In a world of digital lies, the physical bar is the only ledger that cannot be erased, adjusted, or glitched out of existence. The face of shock you see in the data, that is the face of the institutional trader who realizes he is short 50 million ounces, and his sub-custodian just told him they have zero metal. John A.G. sees this panic in the order flow right now. We are seeing panic covering in the shadow markets where the big bullion banks are buying from each other at any price just to satisfy a delivery notice. But there are no more sellers left at these prices. The only sellers left are the banks themselves, and they are selling what they don't have. This is a broken market. It's like a high-performance car with a 200 mph speedometer that has run out of fuel. The potential for the price to go to the moon is there, but the fuel, the physical silver, is currently sitting in eastern vaults. The central banks of the BRICS nations have just issued a joint statement regarding a commodity-backed settlement unit that will include silver as a strategic component. This is the nail in the coffin for the US dollar. If the world's major producers of energy and metals decide to trade in a unit backed by those very assets, the demand for the dollar drops to zero overnight. John A.G. is tracking the repo markets, and the collateral shortage is reaching a crisis point. They need the metal to back the new system, and they are taking it from the COMEX and the LBMA. We are watching a hostile takeover of the global financial system by the people who actually produce the wealth. The paper changers are being expelled, and they are leaving with nothing but empty vaults. The no-hype philosophy is about looking at the primary sources and the mathematics of scarcity. If you look at the Indian import data from this morning, the demand for physical silver bars has increased by 400% year over year. The small man in India and China understands what the educated economist in the West does not, that paper is a promise, but silver is a payment. John A.G. knows that the 8 billion people on this planet are all trying to fit through a silver door that is only wide enough for 1% of them. When the masses realize that the dollar is dead and the banks are insolvent, the rush into silver will be the greatest wealth transfer in 500 years. You are not buying silver, you are exchanging a failing currency for a permanent store of value. Mexico's move to consider nationalization of their strategic minerals is the ultimate black swan for the paper markets tonight. If the Mexican government decides that silver is too important for the national interest, defense, energy, tech, and stops all exports, the COMEX will default within 48 hours. John A.G. is monitoring the diplomatic cables, and the tension is at an all-time high. The resource war has moved from oil to the metals of the new economy. If you don't own the physical metal in a jurisdiction you trust, you are at the mercy of geopolitics. This is why, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, is the most important sentence in your financial vocabulary today. The Wednesday blackout was just the warning shot. The industrial hunger for silver in 2026 has reached a point where the military-industrial complex is now competing with the solar companies for every available ounce. Every high-tech missile, every satellite, and every advanced communication system requires silver for its superior conductivity. John A.G. has confirmed that the strategic national stockpile of silver in several Western nations has been depleted to satisfy urgent defense requirements. They are cannibalizing their own future to keep their machines running today. This means there is no backstop. There is no government rescue coming when the retail public finally panics. When the registered vaults hit zero, the market will simply move to no offer status. You You won't be able to buy silver at $92 because no one will be selling it at $92. The John AG logo is a symbol of financial warfare education because we are in a war for your future. The banks have the media, the politicians, and the printing presses. But we have the tape, we have the numbers, and most importantly, we have the physical. Today's data is a total validation for everyone who ignored the hype and focused on the registered drain. We are on the right side of history, and the great wealth transfer is no longer a coming event. It is the event we are living through as we speak. The $35 trillion system is functionally dead. It just hasn't realized it yet because the digital screens are still pretending everything is normal. But the Wednesday blackout proved that the illusion is fragile and the reset is inevitable. As the London market prepares to open for the next session, the ask prices in the private dealer networks have already jumped another 10% in the last 4 hours. John AG is seeing silver bars being traded for gold bars at a ratio of 40-1 in the shadow markets of Dubai and Singapore. The official price is becoming a joke that only the mainstream media still laughs at. The real price is being set by the people who actually have the metal in their possession. This is the market decoupling in its final stage. By the time the news tells you that silver is the new gold, there will be none left to buy. You are the early minority who saw the math, tracked the tape, and prepared for the exit to be closed. I want to highlight the psychological warfare being used against you today. The headlines are talking about silver is overbought and technical corrections are coming. This is the oldest trick in the bullion bank playbook. They want to shake you out of your position right before the moonshot so they can cover their short positions with your metal. John AG has seen this movie before, in 2008, in 2011, and in 2020. But the 2026 scenario is different. This time, the vaults are actually empty. This time, the East is actually bidding $100. This time, the debt is actually $35 trillion. The old tricks aren't working because the physical world is finally demanding its due, and the paper lies are burning up in the heat of the truth. The Wednesday blackout isn't just a technical glitch. It's a precursor to the central bank digital currency, CBDC rollout. They want to move you from a failing physical system into a digital cage where every transaction can be monitored, taxed, and expired. John AG knows that silver is the ultimate privacy asset. You cannot track a silver coin with a central bank algorithm, you cannot expire a silver bar from a distance, and you cannot turn off someone's physical wealth. This is why the establishment is so desperate to keep the price low. They want to discourage you from owning the one thing that gives you total financial independence. But the tape says their plan has failed. People are choosing the physical reality in record numbers. We are heading into the first notice day for the March contract in less than 24 hours. This is the end game for the paper shorts. John AG predicts that we will see a record number of fails to deliver hitting the exchange. This isn't just a technicality, it's a legal declaration of default. When the biggest names on Wall Street cannot deliver 1,000-ounce bars to their institutional clients, the counterparty trust that holds the entire financial system together vanishes instantly. Every other commodity market, gold, copper, platinum, will follow silver into the abyss of no offer. We are witnessing the death of the futures exchange model and the rebirth of the physical trade model, where the producer and the consumer deal directly. I'll leave you with this final thought for the morning update. The exit is closed, the vaults are empty, the bail-in is live. John AG will be back for the 7:30 a.m. tape update as the New York pit opens to what will likely be the most volatile session in history. We are entering the 48-hour window that will define the next decade of your life. If you are in the physical, you have a seat on the lifeboat. If you are in the paper, you are part of the ship. Watch the premiums, watch the registered numbers, and for the love of everything, stay sharp. The world is changing today, and you are here to witness it. All right, I'm out.